Well, hello, everyone. Hello. This is Alexandra Levine. I am your host. Well, hello, everyone. Hello, this is Alexandra Levine. I'm your host tonight for The Pulse on the America's Pulse Network. We have breaking news tonight, guys. Breaking news. The first breaking news is the Texas House GOP passed the redistricting plan. But of course, California readies a counter move. This is ridiculous what California is trying to do. Gavin Newsom knows that the Republicans were entitled to have certain congressional Republican seats in the 2020 census. What the Republicans are doing in Texas and Florida is they're not stealing any seats. They're not re-gerrymandering or gerrymandering anything. These were congressional seats that they were supposed to obtain in 2020, but it got all screwed up. So what Texas and Florida is doing in other states is they're just taking them back. But of course, Governor Gavin Newsom, he just can't accept that. The second breaking news today is Ed Hale Sr., who was a Democrat for a while. He originally was a Republican. For those in Maryland who know, his son, Ed Hale Jr., is a Republican. And then he also has been very supportive of other rhinos in the Republican Party. But Ed Hale Sr. decided today that he was going to announce that he was running as a Republican for the Maryland gubernatorial race. So he's not running as a Democrat to try to primary Westmore. He is running as a Republican because he feels that he can win better as a Republican. And he has said that everybody's just tired of Governor Westmore. The question to Marylanders is, what type of Republican is he? Is he a Hogan Light? Or is he going to stand and support President Trump and his policies? Is he going to combat President Trump like Governor Westmore does? That's the question to Marylanders when you go for the primary and in the general, depending on if he wins the primary or not. So that was big news today. Second big news is a liberal judge stalled and concealed the right to release Epstein's transcripts. The DOJ, Pam Bondi, requested Epstein's transcripts, and of course the judge stopped them. A liberal judge stopped them. So this is huge breaking news too. Again, President Trump is working with the DOJ on the side to release a lot of these things that people have been demanding. But of course you have liberal judges all around that will do everything they can to stall, will do everything they can to conceal Epstein's transcripts, to conceal the people that Jeffrey Epstein hurt, and so forth. As I said before, I do believe that President Trump has a list. He's holding on to it. We don't know when he'll release it, but I feel that he's holding on to it. And as you know, DNI Director Tulsi Gabbard, she's been exposing Barack Obama, James Clapper, and Comey to the point where she has gotten rid of 37 security clearances for some of the top people that worked in the DNI, ODNI, and also in the FBI, CIA, et cetera, and FBI. Because we need to hold these people accountable. We need to have real accountability. And we really need to ensure that we have the right people that are handling classified information. So now going into the monologue, guys. So as you know, it's already August 20th, 2025. President Trump hasn't even been in the White House for a year, and he's been doing so much with his VP, J.D. Vance. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been just kicking butt. Special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, is doing a phenomenal job with my friend, #MyJew, Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller. And then you have, of course, his Chief of Staff, Susan Summerall Wiles. You have some great people that are working for President Trump right now, and we want to keep it that way. But of course, you have the fake news media, which I'm so happy that my friend, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, called out yesterday at the press briefing room, where she said, there are so many hypocrites, so many fake news media outlets that are here in this room that keep reporting unfair news and keep reporting their opinions about the president instead of reporting the facts. As you all know, I am the White House correspondent for this network. We are the new conservative media at the White House. We are not fake news. We are not mainstream media. We combat the CNNs of the world, and we are always at the head of the table. Conservative media is rising. Conservative media is getting the word out. I can tell you, I email Caroline Levitt on a daily basis. I know for a fact she reads my emails. I know that she gives it to the president. I know that he responds. Anything that happens to do with Baltimore County and Maryland and even just specific counties and states, that comes from me, guys. So we are trusted news. So listen to us, like and subscribe us, follow us, because we are raw, we are real, and we are never afraid. We have a jam-packed show for you guys tonight. So let's introduce you to my other host and my guests. Our next host, who will be here later, the Conservative Corner, we say viewer discretion is advised. Popeye the Sailor Man, Seth Eisenberg from the Conservative Corner. My second guest host, the guy who taught us all what hallway sex is, the Hammer, Damon Galdo of the Jersey Shore.
All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry, it made me laugh there.
I'll never let that down. And of course, my other Floridian. I love this woman, but we don't know what she's going to eat tonight. If she's going to eat guacamole again, bananas, maybe some falafel. Our very own food liaison, Elena Barber from the Based Mother.
It's all about the chicken cutlets tonight.
And of course, the anti-Semite hunter. You say free Palestine, he says screw you. Retired Lieutenant Colonel, my good friend from Carroll County, Scott Willens.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you.
Let's bring everybody on.
I just want to say, by the way, did we ever explain on the Pulse what hallway sex is?
We did, but if you want to talk about it briefly, you got 10 seconds.
Any new listeners, I just want to let you know so you're not thrown off guard. Hallway sex is when you've been married for 20 plus years and you pass your wife or your husband or your husband in the hallway, and then it gets to a point where you're like, F you. That's what hallway sex is. So it goes from good sex when this marriage starts into hallway sex 20 years later. That was the joke.
So if anybody is experiencing hallway sex, please let Damon Galdo know. You can Facebook him and go on his X account and just message him if you have any of those hallway sex stories. So our first segment tonight.
We got a really long hallway.
So our first segment tonight is War of the Roses. Let's put up the first image, please. So the Russian Foreign Ministry roundly reacted to the idea of NATO forces serving as peacekeepers in Ukraine, a provision sought by Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and his European allies in U.S. brokered peace talks. So this is a great thing because, as you know, Zelensky always talks about being a part of NATO. And of course, Russia rejects that. President Trump rejects that. Pete Hegseth rejects that. So this summit that happened it happened with Putin and Trump in Anchorage, Alaska. And then we have the continuation of it with the European leaders at the White House with Zelensky, who finally wore a suit, if you want to call it that. It was very important that this happened. So my question, I'm going to go to Scott first. Tell us what you think about the Trump-Zelensky summit that happened.
It's certainly steps that Biden hasn't taken. It's steps that would never have been necessary if Trump had a second term in 2020. We look at that big obvious gap in Russian/Soviet aggression from 2017 to 2021 that was bookended by attacks on Ukraine and previously Georgia. I mean, we kind of touched on this a little last night. I don't want to be too redundant about it. I think that both sides within this country need to kind of realize that how necessary this is. You have people on the left that are support Zelensky, but I think they're doing it just to try to distance themselves from their century-long history of supporting the Soviet bear and Marxism and then the relics that have come from the Soviet Union, like Putin. And I think there's people on the right that don't understand that Russia attacked first. It really was not provoked. We can talk about the threats of joining NATO or things like that, but it was really the weakness that we displayed. It had nothing to do with Ukraine. But, Zelensky, I think some people on the right, and we have to be cautious of this, fellow Jews, that some people don't like Zelensky because of his background, his ethnic background, and we have to be careful to not look like we're supporting Putin because we don't. But a lot of too much Zelensky bashing is kind of tantamount to Putin's support. And I think what the real support has to be in ending the conflict and supporting the peace, not only in the area, but geopolitical stability around the globe, and realizing that when we don't step up like Trump has done, then those voids and those vacuums get filled by our near peer adversaries like Russia and China, if not our third state actors like Al Qaeda. And this happens time and again, whether it's in Africa or South America, pretty much anywhere where we say America first means America only, and we take a step back, they take two steps forward, and then we wind up in a greater peril because we've let our guard down.
Damon Gatto, let me pivot to you. So President Trump has said, if he were to die today, he would love to have peace between Ukraine and Russia. Do you think that we are steps closer to that after the summit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, no one else would have gotten closer than this. And like Scott said earlier, Biden didn't do anything. Trump has solved 6 global conflicts since he's been back in office, and this will be his 7th. And I love the fact that when Putin came over and they were walking on the tarmac, he flew the B-2 bombers over to peace through strength. I loved it. I think that's what Trump did. That gave him that hard handshake, pulled him in. And I think that's something that Biden, or especially Harris, if she, God forbid, would have won, would never have the capability to do. And I love having a president like this. I mean, I watch Gutfeld, and he has a segment, "We Don't Deserve Him." I think it's funny because it's like we don't. I mean, he makes a joke about it, but it's like really, the media goes after Trump all the time, and they're calling him Putin's puppet because he's doing this. No, I mean, when you're making a deal between 2 world leaders and just end a war like this, you have to butter each up, a little bit. Like, you have to show them some respect, but then at the same time, like I said, with the B-2 bombers flying over, I don't know if you guys saw that when Putin's looking up in the air. Yeah, it was great. Trump grabs him, puts his arm around him right afterwards. I think that was perfect. So he gets the point. But there's no one else that could do it, and I think Trump is the only one that's going to pull it off. And I guarantee you, he will in some way, shape, or form. It's just who's going to concede to whatever land swap they're going to do. And I know it's going to affect the United States with the deal that we made with Ukraine too for the minerals. So I don't know how it's going to affect that, but I trust that he's going to do a great job.
So Elena, let me ask you, because Melania Trump wrote a very deep and personal letter to Vladimir Putin talking about the children and about the missing children. And then, of course, Vladimir Zelensky said to his wife, "You better write a letter to Melania Trump about the missing children." And I heard it was a very beautiful letter and so forth. So as a mom, do you think also that Melania Trump, by her intervening with the letter to Vladimir Putin, that it actually made strides for peace between Zelensky and Putin, in your opinion?
I don't think that his heart will be changed, or he will be personally affected by whatever the contents of that letter were. I don't know that he can be moved in that way, or because if he really cared about the children, we wouldn't have the situation with the children to begin with. But I think that what it does is it just puts a pressure on him about perception that I hope will change his actions moving forward, and it'll help him to be a little bit more reasonable in his in his terms of peace. I think he's going to get some of what he wants. I think he's going to get a nice big piece of land and another economic opportunity that he can exploit from that land. And hopefully that letter puts a little pressure on him and makes him think. I don't know that he cares so much about being hated, but he does need friends, and he's a smart enough man to know that he needs to have some good favor with the world.
Now, David Sher, let's put up the second image, please. So the second image shows Zelensky says he's ready for a bilateral meeting with Putin to end war, and Trump made this happen. So after the summit, what's going to happen is that Putin and Zelensky are going to have a phone call. They're going to talk together. And then after that phone call, hopefully everything goes well. President Trump will come in with a trilateral phone call, and hopefully peace will be made. And I pivot back to you, Elena. So again, do you feel that Zelensky and Putin, everything will be okay on the call? does Trump really need to intervene here? And when he does intervene, is he going to be like the peacemaker, just like he is, that art of the deal guy, just to get that peace and get a Nobel Peace Prize for ending this war and for having peace between Ukraine and Russia, in your opinion?
It's really hard to say what will happen. I mean, Putin is extremely determined to win and get what he wants. Zelensky is, I don't want to be mean to the guy, but it just doesn't seem like he's all that bright. So I think the best shot we have is exactly what's happening. I do think Trump needs to intervene. I think he does need to be the art of the deal guy. And I think that, he's also, he's got orbiting around him all of these European leaders who have things that they want out of this, who desperately want peace because they're worried about it. The stakes have never been higher, but that's when Donald Trump performs really, really well. He's the key to any shot at peace. And if he does not get if he achieves this and does not get a Nobel Peace Prize, that the Nobel Peace Prize will never be redeemed. It's already in the trash as far as I'm concerned, after they gave it to Obama for doing absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. And this is their shot at redemption, in my opinion.
So Damon Gallo, let me pivot to you because we're talking about Nobel Peace Prizes now. So there's so many leaders that have nominated President Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. You have the president of Azerbaijan. You have Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, even to the point of Hillary Clinton saying that if Trump brings peace between Russia and Ukraine, that she would nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize. What say you about all of this?
Well, I would say, Hillary Clinton is definitely grasping at straws.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that. But the man just had 70,000 monks come out and broke their vow of silence and to nominate Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, it's amazing the thing that he's doing. And listen, I don't agree with everything Trump does. I mean, you can't agree with everything that somebody does, but the moves that he's making and stuff he's doing, everything is what I'm seeing, and I believe that it is for the betterment of this country and for the rest of the world. I mean, this guy's going to go down as one of the greatest presidents in history, as long as he keeps going the way that he's going. And the fact that one thing I love about Trump too is his humor too. When he said, "I want to end this war because." If I end 5,000 to 7,000 deaths a week, then maybe I'll get into heaven. He said, if people say that I'm in a bad place, I'm never going to make it to heaven. He said, maybe that'll give me points. And I know he was kind of serious, but said it in a joking manner. And so Trump, if you're listening, but you're probably not, that's not the way to heaven. You have to believe, you have to have faith, you have to repent, but you're doing a good job. That's all I got to say.
So Scott, let me pivot to you. So, President Trump, he is possibly up he's going to be nominated for all these Nobel Peace Prizes. As Damon Galdo said, the monks woke up, 70,000 of them. They called President Trump to receive a Nobel Peace Prize for having peace between Cambodia and Thailand. So what is your prediction for this? What do you think is going to happen, in your opinion?
I think the history of the Nobel Peace Prize is tarnished with Arafat, with Jimmy Carter, with plenty of people who never deserved it, and of course Obama, just for the promise of what he would do that he never did. These are real actions that Trump has taken, far above what Jimmy Carter did concerning the Sadat and Begin in the even the Abraham Accords alone. But of course, no one would ever advocate for getting a Nobel Peace Prize for having anything to do with us Jews. But hell will freeze over before Hillary. I was laughing when Hillary said that she would nominate him, because I would just love to see that, as worse pulling her fingernails out for her. But I think it's got to happen. Is the mounting one on top of the other. And just when you think he's done, he outdoes himself with the next. So if it doesn't happen, I don't really know that the Nobel Peace Prize has much credibility to it anymore anyway. But maybe it's, you talk about redemption with God. Maybe it's time for redemption of what that award is worth, by actually giving it to someone who accomplishes something and not promise of something because of political party or color of their skin or things that they say they will do that they not only don't do, but have no intention of doing and no capability to accomplish.
I agree. Turning to peace at home, as you see, President Trump is doing everything he can to have peace in D.C. J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth were actually at a Shake Shack today at Union Station in D.C. And I can tell you, I never felt safe going to D.C., but I went to D.C. a couple of days ago. I went to the Museum of the Bible, and I walked all up and down D.C., and I felt very safe. I went to the White House as well. I went down Media Row, and I felt very, very safe down there. And you can see it. Like, you can see that the people there feel safer. The people are happier there. The people feel more compelled to walk down the streets of DC. I know you can't have a Nobel Peace Prize for domestic issues, but I feel like President Trump should get an award just for that, just for making peace in DC. And I feel, in my opinion, that he should be constantly going to liberal cities and liberal states and just putting the National Guard in all these liberal cities and all these liberal states to make a point. Without law and order, your city and your state is run with havoc. What say you about that, Elena?
Well, if he can do that, that would be great. I mean, we need a solid plan for what are we going to do with all these people that he's taking off the streets. I mean, we do have some sort of an idea. They've told us what they're doing, but I would like more transparency in that. We have the history of mental institutions in our country that was fraught with cruelty and neglect, and people really have a bad feeling about that. That was one cruelty. The cruelty is even greater of leaving them on the streets to die of overdoses and be riddled with, rapes and murders and crimes within those encampments that we see all over the place, plus just the teenagers running wild. So I just want to make sure that, this is good. This test run in DC goes well, and we have a solid plan. We hear what that plan is, and then roll it out across cities. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at a city like Boston, San Francisco, Portland, Oregon, they want chaos. They welcome it. They're doing everything they can to bring the citizens to their knees. So they beg the government for control and help. So there's going to be so much resistance to that. I don't mind. I'd love to see them resist, and I'd love to see it happen. I would like to be able to walk down the streets of the cities in my country again and feel safe, and see it be clean and beautiful as, it has been now and then in the past. Not consistently. Our cities, it depends on who's in charge.
That's true. I agree with you on that. Now, Scott, your state is horrible because you have a governor, you have attorney general, you have a Baltimore city mayor that combats President Trump on every turn. This morning, there was a shooting in Columbia and Howard County in a very nice area near the Meriwether at a beautiful shopping center that is continuously being rebuilt. I've eaten in that shopping center, and there was another shooting there, another killing. And of course, your governor goes on all these mainstream media outlets and Fox News, and he says Maryland is safe, Maryland's great, the crime is low, we don't need the National Guard in there. I can tell you personally, I emailed Caroline Levitt today with that story, and I told her, please get President Trump to Maryland to bring the National Guard, because Maryland is ridiculous, and the state obviously isn't doing anything. Federal always overrides state. What say you about that, about your governor saying that your state is great and that the crime is low when you have a shooting every day or every other day? Sometimes it's 3 shootings in a full day.
Yeah, it sounds like another Maryland man, right? But this also the same governor. We were playing a gig with Weird Science on Sunday, and there was a partial power outage because of the heat. And everyone's like, well, just hook up the gear to somebody's boat. I was like, I'm going to get some extension cords and go to Wes Moore's house because this is his fault. But and quite intentionally and quite predictably and avoidable. I think we need to follow the template that Giuliani had and that Trump is doubling down on. And it starts with the petty stuff, and it starts with the vagrancy, and with living in over the 14 years I lived in White Marsh, I saw more and more people on suddenly this corner now has somebody panhandling that didn't before, and then this one does, and it's this creep, whether it's up the 40 corridor or into Frederick or into West Westminster now where I live. And local politicians don't do much about that either. They talk about so much to do in my next term, and they've done nothing to help what they consider the underserved communities, and they don't want to, because in Wes Moore's case in particular, the struggle or the perception of a struggle, which in Arabic, by the way, is jihad, fuels his power, fuels his perpetual motion of the Democrat machine. If they really solve the problems, they would cease to have a stump to complain about issues, and particularly in making them racial issues.
Damon Galdo, I want you to just end the segment. As you know, you have a huge race coming up with the gubernatorial race in New Jersey. We hope to God that Jack wins, because I believe, and I don't want to speak for you, but I believe that he will lower the crime in the state of New Jersey. What do you see in the foreseeable future of the state of New Jersey?
Well, we have a lot of assembly candidates running.
Constance Stitzel.
Yeah, we're working with her. And we have Peter Sykes, Jack Brangen, Nielsen Gonzalez, we have Chris Conowell. I mean, there's a lot of great candidates running along with Jack. And I really think that Jack has a real shot. Of course, he's behind in the polls, but every Republican polls low. You see that with Trump and all the time. And Jack polled low in 2021 as well. He lost by 3 points, but they said he was down 12, and then he lost by 3. But he's climbing the polls. He's getting out there. He's doing great things. And I think he's going to make New Jersey a lot safer. I mean, we are a sanctuary state. For one, New Jersey taxpayers alone pay $7.3 billion out of our own pockets, just New Jerseyans, for illegal immigrants. That includes their housing, their medical, their schooling, whatever it may be. And that's what we pay. And Jack and Pete campaign, we were talking about it, and they came up with an idea. They said, well, if we were to end sanctuary state status and reallocate that money back to the taxpayers, there's 360 million homes in New Jersey. We can lower everyone's property taxes, every single homeowner's property taxes, by over $2,000. It's a lot of money. So I mean, but yeah, so Jack Ciattarelli, I think he has a very good shot. He's out there doing what he has to do, and so I'll end it there. I know we're going to get to the next segment, but I just want to tell the listeners out there. I see Donald. Thank you very much. I love you keep posting stuff whenever we can see it. But the rest of the listeners that are listening right now, you can post comments and we're going to see it. So if you want to put something up there, we can see it and we can respond to it. Donald is his #1 fan out there. Thank you, buddy.
I love Donald. He's so great. And guys, please like and subscribe throughout the show. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Rumble, our X accounts, our Parler, our TikTok, and so forth. And we will be right back after the break. And Popeye the Sailor Man, Seth Eisenberg, will be with us. Viewer discretion.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra L.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra L. with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
Well, hey guys, thanks for coming back and joining us. Again, I'm your host, Alexandra Levine with The Pulse. Going into segment 2, liberal leaders should be done. We're going to start the story off, and I'm going to pivot to Elena. This story is about the illegal driving the semi in Florida who killed 3 people during a crazy drive maneuver. Let's show the video. Unbelievable. And I can tell you that Elena and I's governor, Ron DeSantis, he's really looking into this. I think this guy, and Elena, you can vouch for me, I think he's an illegal, and I think they're thinking about deporting his ass. Is that correct? Go ahead, Elena.
He's an illegal. He entered the country illegally through Mexico in 2018. And he was denied working papers from the Trump administration, but then, of course, the Biden administration gave him some, and California gave him a commercial driver's license. So he has his CDL, and he's driving around the country. After this crash, In the post-crash investigation, he was given a test on his English and his ability to read our road signs, and he did horribly on both of those tests. So here is somebody who just can't even, doesn't even know what the heck is going on. Imagine you're just driving around, you don't even know what the signs are in a loaded semi driving around this country. It appears that he was in the right lane and made a left turn from the right lane and just went straight across the highway in order to cut through an official use only brake in the Florida Turnpike. This happened like 45 minutes from my house. 3 people were killed. I mean, it's just unthinkable that these liberal leaders, places like California, are giving regular driver's license to illegal aliens and then adding a commercial driver's license. And this is not the first American to be killed by an illegal alien driving a semi. Remember Scott Miller a couple of years ago in Colorado? He was a 62-year-old father, husband, grandfather. His life ended on the road because of an illegal alien who was driving like a lunatic. I mean, anyway. He flew back to California after the accident, and now he in court today has agreed to be extradited without a fight back to Florida. He does have an ICE detainer. He's going to be prosecuted and then deported. I don't know what that's going to look like. We're all watching.
It's so disgusting. Damon, what say you about this?
I am disgusted about it 100%. It's the fact that that man in the video showed no remorse whatsoever. None. I mean, the van crashed into the truck and he just looks, puts it in park and goes to get out. I mean, nothing. Shouldn't have been here anyway. He's illegal. And F Gavin Newsom for giving him a license, because that's where his license came from, California. And Phil Murphy, same goes for you, buddy. That's our governor here. In 2019, he signed into law that illegals can get licenses here as well. And if they can't read the signs, I mean, driving a tractor trailer is not an easy thing. I mean, I'm in commercial construction, and I drive heavy duty machines sometimes too, but driving, I wouldn't know how to drive an 18-wheeler. I mean, so you have to know what you're doing. You have to be able to read the signs, and you're on a major highway like that. That reminded me of the New Jersey Turnpike. And cutting through that median like that was the dumbest, most, I can't believe that it happened. And how stupid that it was. And 3 people died because of it. And they didn't have to die. I mean, and I know they're Americans who have, we have some American-born stupid people too. But they weren't American-born and they were stupid. They shouldn't be here. All right. So, I mean, our stupid people can learn, but whatever. But anyone can make some stupid mistakes like that. Not anyone, but some. But still, it didn't need to happen. The guy shouldn't have had a license. He failed his test. He couldn't read English words. I mean, the guy, that's as far as I want to go with it, because I don't want to go too deep into it because I'll lose freaking mind.
Well, I can tell a personal story. I was actually hit in the back by an illegal, a woman from China. And this was like 2022, actually. And she actually reinforced a lot of issues that I had with a previous car accident that I was in several years before that. And I'm like, oh my God. And she's profusely crying. And then her husband comes in and her husband's like, oh, please don't call the police. Please don't call the police. My father owns a shop around the corner. We'll just drive your car and he'll fix it and he'll make it all better. And I'm like, no, I'm calling the police. Your wife hit me. And of course I found out she was an illegal, but his name was registered on the car. And I'm just like, your wife should not be driving. Why the hell is your wife driving? And it was so unavoidable. I mean, she literally took her foot off the brake when we were at a red light and just hit me. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, why weren't you with your wife driving? Why weren't you driving? Like, what the hell is going on? And we see this in Maryland. I pivot to Seth here. We see this in Maryland with a lot of illegals that have driver's licenses in Maryland. They're driving. They're crazy drivers. A lot of them are in Montgomery County. There's some in Frederick. There's some all over the state. What say you about this, Seth?
And Seth, really quick, I just had to point something out in the background.
Hammer.
Nice.
Everybody listening, it's an ongoing joke between Seth and me. He calls me the
That's
hammer.
awesome. Illegal immigrants that drive. What do I think about that?
Viewer discretion advised.
Number one, I understand they have to drive. They got to get to. I understand that. I'm not saying they don't have a life too, but what I'm saying is have a life in your own fucking country. Don't have it here. Especially if you can't read the signs, you can't pass a driving test, you can't speak the language, you don't have a legitimate driver's license, anything. Go back to your own third world shithole and ride your burros around your town there. Stop driving cars here because you don't know what you're doing.
Ride the donkeys.
Whatever burros, donkeys, cheetahs, rhinos, whatever the hell they ride in their own little dump. Go back there and ride it because we are too technologically advanced for you to understand how to operate our machinery, and people are dying because of your stupidity. And that's not right. Those 3 people that died in that van probably had plans. We're going to see somebody, have family, have kids, have wives, have girlfriends and boyfriends. They were just going about their business. And the schmuck that turns the semi in the middle of the highway, just like he was drinking some Coke, just, whatever. And then looks back and goes, oh, well, okay. And doesn't even wince, doesn't blink, doesn't go, oh, crap. He just, I hope they canoe his head with a baseball bat. That's all he deserves.
Exactly. Scott, pivot to you. What do you think about this story? Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, buddy.
You're muted, Scott.
Can't hear you.
No.
I trust Katy Perry to fly a Dragon rocket over this guy driving a semi. Yeah, and of course the left will tout immigrants commit less crime than Americans do, and we know, first of all, just by virtue or lack of virtue that they've crossed the border illegally and broken immigration laws, they've already have a higher crime rate of 100% over any citizen of this country. But these are things that, again, were completely avoidable, shouldn't even be here. This guy should be calling me 6 times a day about my Social Security and home improvements. That's where he belongs, back in a call center in Mumbai. He should not be here driving a truck. I mean, we've had deaths from illegal driver on 140 within the last couple of years from an illegal immigrant, and it's all too common a story. And how many of these people have even been let go from motor vehicle crimes in the past, or been pulled over for lack of a registration or license, and they're let go. We see it all the time with other crimes where someone's released back on the street and then they kill somebody or rape somebody. I'm curious, what's the rap sheet of a lot of these guys? They've been captured, released again, knowing they're illegal, or just not even prosecuted for their original crimes that could have been and I told you so, an avoidance of what was predictable to come.
So we're going to go ahead, Elena.
If you go to ice.gov and you go to their news releases, every day they're putting up the stories of the people that they're catching, and exactly what you just said is being reported. This person had this conviction, this court case, this conviction, somewhere, and this one was dropped, and this one was, it just, he didn't get any time for it. Illegals in America. And they're just letting them back out until they kill somebody, and then it hits the news. So you're absolutely right, Scott.
That's why Trump had to get elected. That's why we have DHS Secretary Kristi Noem and Borders Thomas Homan who are
I want to add one more thing.
Removing all of them as much as possible, in a fast pace, very fast pace. So
one more thing I want to add real quick. I just, so everyone out there listening, I blame this solely on the Democrats. I'm
of course,
for it because I'm wondering how many Republican-led states give out licenses to illegal immigrants. They probably.
We're racist, right?
Yeah, but they shouldn't. And their whole reason why they're doing it is because they want them to vote. They will do anything to stay in power. So they're the blame for this tragedy because they'll do anything to stay in power. That's what they'll do. They'll give out licenses to illegals, people that should be driving on the road. And that family died because of their policies.
Yep, that's correct.
Put it out there.
Yes. So we're going to pivot to another breaking news. Damon Straub, please put up this image of the woke CEO. So breaking, the woke CEO of Target just resigned. CEO Brian Cornell is stepping down after the company has seen plummeting sales. Target got heavily involved in pro-LGBTQ and woke culture, going all in on pride merchandise. They are now retreating from DEI, the Trump era. And of course, I pivot to my friend Elena here. Are you going to start going to Target again after the CEO resigned?
No. I haven't been in 2 years since they started pushing gender bending stuff on kids. And remember, they had the tuck friendly bathing suits for little
Yep.
boys. So that was 2 years ago. All right. And then in January, they're like, we're going to abandon. So they started losing money then, because a lot of people like me were like, you're done, go to hell. Never going in there again. There's nothing you have that I can't get somewhere else. And then in January, they decided to pull back on the DEI, or February, whatever, earlier this year. And then they made the left mad. So now everyone's mad at you, Target, and your stocks are in the gutter, and you're getting exactly what you deserve if you had just stuck with merchandise and picking out what music you were going to play in the store and make sure the bathroom's clean and I could get a nice snack while I'm there. You would still be thriving. But Target can go the way of Kmart. And actually, I liked Kmart. I'm sorry they're gone. But, they can go just into the abyss for all I care. This brings me nothing but comfort.
Well, so Damon, Galda, you have young kids. I don't know if you ever had them go to Target or, maybe, I don't know, years ago, or maybe you just banned taking your children to Target before. Now that the CEOs resign, are you thinking of having your kids go to Target now?
Well, I don't. Well, my wife does the shopping, so I don't push her towards any stores whatsoever because she just spends a ton of money. And
are you saying that you there's family household money being spent at Target right now? I feel like that's what's happening.
Well, no, I don't. I just any store she goes to, I know my bank account just drops. So I don't push her in any store whatsoever. But yeah, maybe she will. But this is the true story, actually. When they had that whole section out there with you were talking about all this stuff,
LGBTQ.
Yeah,
Pride Month.
The tuck bathing suits and all that stuff,
Yep.
which I was actually curious about. I was going to buy Seth one, see if he wanted to try it out because he was running for Miss.
Yeah, Miss Maryland. Yeah.
Miss Maryland. Yeah. But no, as a joke, by the way, everybody. But yeah, so my wife actually took a picture of it and sent me. And it was when I was actually running for Congress. And I put it out there on social media. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And then we're watching Fox News like 3 days later. And it was like the same picture I took. I'm like, it wasn't the same exact one I took. I'm like, man, I thought they stole my picture for a second. But no, it wasn't. But it was the same concept. They went in there to have a picture of it. And then Target started to drop. So, but yeah, I mean, I could care less about Target. And yeah, they screwed up big time. And that's what happened to Miller Lite. Happened to, just stop with the woke shit. And people were done with it. We're Americans. And I had one of my segments before last podcast. When did they stop making men? All right. It's time to get men back, women back, real men, real women. And that's what it is. So I think America is ready for that because I think we're tired of the bullshit.
So Scott, me going to Target, I was very upset because I'm watching, Pride Month and all this pride. But then when it comes like Jewish Heritage Month or other months, there's like one menorah, in the whole Target. Or you'll be lucky if you get like a Star of David, to represent Jewish Pride Month. Or not Jewish Pride Month, sorry, Jewish Heritage Month, excuse me. So now that Pride Month is going out of Target, now that they're getting rid of the LGBTQ crap, do you think that they're going to start expanding on the Jewish Heritage Month and more Christmas stuff? We're going to go back to Judeo-Christian values in Target. What say you?
I don't think so. They'll have the pro-Palestinian wackos showing up. I do have a historical fondness for Target because they started in Minnesota where I went to veterinary school, and they were affiliated with the Gabbert Raptor Center. So they did a lot of philanthropy with supporting rehabilitation of birds of prey. And they would always have one released, a rehabbed bird at one of their openings of their stores. And certainly their step up. I never went into a Target and saw a white trash woman beating her kid or something like that, like you see in Walmart. So it was always like one step up from there. The problem was they went woke and then they took it back. And that's rougher than if they had just never done anything at all, like the Shut Up and Sing book by Laura Ingraham, but concerning the Dixie Chicks. But it does take maybe an extra ounce of bravery to go woke and then take it back and take a little bit of a red pill because you've already thrown down on that side and then you're retracting it. So to do that, they had to know there was some backlash coming. And I would rather reinforce that they now and not go back to that again, if that makes sense.
No, can I just say though, they're full of it. They haven't really gotten rid of all the trans stuff and all the LGBTQ stuff. If you go on the website, you can still find a book for a baby to teach the baby that it might be born in the wrong body. So don't.
Yeah, and I can still shop for women's clothes there if I want. I mean,
yeah, but that's different. That's different.
And I wouldn't.
That's a normal article that you may purchase to use for
right. But true.
I'm talking about indoctrination.
But like I said, I don't think they'll go into the Jewish. They're not going to suddenly have some Jewish line of products for Hanukkah or for History Month or anything like that, because it's all about the popular virtue signaling, and we're not.
Well, I used to see Hanukkah products in there because I was a hardcore Target shopper.
Not anymore. I mean, I haven't seen it in years. Like I said, I'd be lucky if I found a menorah.
Different.
I want to end the segment with Seth. So Seth, as you know, everything woke touches turns to crap, and we saw this with Bud Light, and now we're seeing the uptick of Republicans, of beautiful people doing commercials like Sydney Sweeney and this really good-looking guy with the Dunkin' Donuts commercial. And since they use Sydney Sweeney, now she does a Baskin Robbins commercial, which we saw last week. The stocks are going up. And, my question to you is, do you think, obviously Target has, quote, learned because they're getting rid of the CEO, but have they really learned? And is Target going to do a revisal and maybe feature like a Sydney Sweeney or feature somebody that will get their stock to go up? What say you?
No, they haven't learned. They're playing a game. They're losing money, so they're trying to make nice with everybody. But once they start getting back on track, they'll slowly go back into what they were doing, because the only way those places will learn is when they go out of business. Then they'll go, oh, man, we really stepped in a pile of shit. We should have done that.
And the liberals don't have the money. The liberals don't have the money. The only shopping they're doing there is a 5-finger discount.
But that's the only way they'll learn is when they file Chapter 13. Then they'll realize, oh man, we really screwed up. We shouldn't have done that. Jeez, what can we do now? It's all about money with those companies. They don't care about what's right or what's wrong or what's trending, what's not trending. It's what can we sell and make money on, and what won't sell and what we lose money on. That's how they view things. And right now they're losing money, so they're going to change it. But once they start thinking, wait, we can make money selling that stuff again, they'll turn around and start selling it again. There's no common. I was in the corporate world for many years. There's no common sense in the corporate world. Like I said, it's ruled by profit and loss. If we're profiting, keep doing it. If we're losing, stop, try something else. That's all there is. There's no right or wrong. There's no moral standards. It's money. And right now they're losing money, so they're going to abandon it. Trust me, somewhere in the home office at Target, someone's like, yeah, let's pull it back, but let's put it on the back burner for right now, because we don't know what's going to happen in a couple months. So let's just pull it back, make it small for right now, but let's keep it. So if it comes back into being cool again, we can make money, we can throw it right back out. It's never going to go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with everybody on here. Guys, we are getting ready to the almost top of the hour. We are going to go into commercial, and we will be right back with segment 3.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up, because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution, because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Well, welcome back to the Pulse, guys. I'm Alexandra Levine, your host. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all of our channels. We're on Rumble, we're on Parler, we're on X, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. And thank you to everyone who has been commenting all night. If you are watching, we appreciate your comments. Please comment so we know that you're watching, but we appreciate everybody that is commenting so far.
Can I just shout someone out real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Somebody, the drunken monkey. I just got to get home. He said, talk about Target, they won't cater to anyone who doesn't scream victim, although I do enjoy wearing my fiance's on my face, hashtag love you, babe. Well, all right, buddy, to each his own, but whoever your fiance is, he just threw himself out there for you. So
Seth, is that somebody that you know?
Yeah, it is.
Very cute. I liked it. Arlene said, I hope Heather is listening to you, Damon Galdo.
And she is, Arlene. I'm going to deal with this. We're round 2 with the whole thing that we did last is coming up soon. So she is listening.
I love how Damon Sharon is just like putting all these out right now. I love it. So funny. So we're going to put up the first image Damon shared for the segment. There we go. So this actually caters to New Jersey. So stupid and ugly windmills are killing New Jersey. Energy prices of 28% this year and not enough electricity to take care of the state. Stop the windmills. So Damon, pivot to you on this one. What's going on in New Jersey with the windmills?
Well, with the windmills haven't generated anything. I'm glad you brought that up because Jack Brannigan and Peter Sykes running for assembly, they brought this up and it's on their platform as well. If you look at Jack just sent it to me. Okay, so no, he sent me the wrong one. Hold on, I'm going to the next one. Sorry, I should prepare for it. I didn't know it was coming up just now. But well, all right. So just basically the amount of money that New Jersey taxpayers paid for wind farms, we're like over billions of dollars that we actually paid for these wind farms, and they haven't generated 1 ounce of energy yet. They really haven't. And our energy prices in New Jersey are up 28%. It hit in 1 month. And Phil Murphy saying, "Oh, we're going to give everyone a credit for the next 2 months, $50 off your bill." Well, okay, well, it's where's that come from? The government doesn't have money. You're taking more taxpayer dollars and just giving it back to us by charging us more for our energy because they made so many bad decisions. They spent so much money on this Green New Deal stuff and the wind farms, and not only did it kill a lot of sea life, but they're shutting them all down. I mean, all of them are getting shut down. They didn't generate 1 ounce of energy. They didn't help New Jerseyans whatsoever, and it's a shame. And Jack and Pete, thank you guys for fighting against it. But they put a whole thing together and broke it down. I wish I would have had it all in front of me right now, but go to votejackandpete.com and they have it on their website.
Well, Seth, you're dealing with your state of Maryland that. They have to get gas from Pennsylvania. They have to get coal from Pennsylvania. But the ironic thing is that a cargo ship crashed into the harbor recently, which is very close to where the Francis Scott Key Memorial Bridge crashed into. What say you about that? What is going on in Maryland with the crashing of these bridges?
Was it legal driving it?
No, this one wasn't actually.
It exploded in the port. They got the video of it. It looks like the forward of the ship. Something happened. And they said it was a coal ship, so it could have been coal dust left in the cargo hold, and then a spark or something ignited it and blew up. I mean, people are saying, well, it could have been, terrorists, could have been this, could have been this, it could have been Godzilla. I don't know. But the explosion, if you look at it, if it was a terrorist attack, it was the worst terrorist attack ever in the history of terrorist attacks. The ship isn't really disabled. It still could float. It still could get where it had to get to. So if it was maybe the Three Stooges were trying to do something and that's what happened, but I think it was normal, poor leadership and poor cleaning. Probably it boils down to just poor housekeeping on the ship, and it blew up. But as far as like windmills or wind tunnels or whatever the fuck they're called, and solar panels, have you seen the houses that have like both sides of their roofs covered with solar panels, and they can only like power a refrigerator and a microwave with it? That technology is so lacking. It makes no sense right now to put it in anywhere. We need to wait 15, 20 years for it to catch up and be more efficient. You get these wind turbines off the coast, they got like 20 of them, and they might be able to like run a couple of houses. It's not worth the damage it's doing. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the time at this point to even look at that. It's not efficient and it's not effective. It's like electric cars. Yeah, they're great. They don't use gas, but I don't want to sit there and wait 7 hours for my car to charge on a 4-hour trip. It's not efficient. It's not worth it, and it's not working. They need to slow down, stop trying to be so woke and green, and let things progress naturally. Let the efficiency of these pieces of equipment get better rather than try to force it. Because when you force it, this is what you get. You get crap. You get a house, cover it with solar panels, and you can run a blender. It's not worth it.
Scott, I pivot to you on this.
I would say the deployment and the employment of these technologies is only a small fraction of the environmental impact. You have the production, and it's cradle to grave. So everything from production to the final resting fate of these items and all the impact that has on the environment. And so, of course, you have people just focusing on that little narrow window of the utility of the product, and not because some of the half-lives of these things, when you're talking about fuel cells and things like that, for decades, is far beyond the use of the actual vehicle. But you have science turned on its ear. You have environmental activists, environmentalists telling real environmental scientists what's up, and people with, again, always the Ivy League lawyers in Congress that are subject matter experts in none of this, but feel that they have. You want to talk about privilege and entitlement? They feel that degree entitles them to subject matter expertise in everything that their anti-Midas touch turns to shit. And I was just up in Massachusetts and saw some of these windmills, and saw some driving back through in New Jersey. They're eyesores. They're basically Solyndra 2.0. Follow the money from that stuff.
They don't
and
wear
we've got
underwear or
the
bras.
solar farm issues here that are encroaching on Carroll County's agricultural land preservation. Those are the real environmentalists following the environmental science in Carroll County are the conservatives, preserving that land. But then you have, of course, good intentions tend to absolve liberals of these catastrophic adverse effects. So there's never any culpability, whether it's the Maryland Piedmont Reliability Project, where you have all this energy coming from Pennsylvania through Virginia that we get none of the benefit of, but we have to pay for, and they're using eminent domain to do. And I think you had mentioned a couple of weeks ago about the fires. We saw smog in New York from the Canadian wildfires. Pennsylvania's energy that they're outsourcing to us. It's not like their emissions aren't crossing over from Gettysburg into Westminster. I mean, it's right there. It's all virtue signaling about the environment. And in the end, there's nothing that's more degrading to the environment than poverty and socialism. Capitalism is one of the greatest preservations of that, because it's only through capital that liberals want to cut off at the knees where you will find the ingenuity and the capital for sustainable solutions in the future. So windmills got to go. And I've done plenty of environmental science, real research in the field, on the bench, marine mammals, aquatic ecosystems, terrestrial. The windmills got to go.
Research.
We talked about what you do with the environment. So President Trump is the builder. He put up 2 new beautiful flags in front of the White House that are flowing just fine. The wind is taking them and flowing them just beautifully. In my opinion, that's an example of putting something historic in front of a historic building, but not dealing with all of this, crap that the other liberal states and areas, want to deal with. What say you?
I don't really understand the question, but I'm really excited about these 2 flags, because I want more flags everywhere. And I love his patriotism. I mean, he just every single day shows us how much he loves this country. And part of love for this country is preserving the environment. I believe God created this earth for us, and he made it beautiful, and we are stewards of it, and we should be taking care of it. You have windmills killing tens of millions of birds every year, as Scott mentioned, destroying marine life, just filling landfills, because these things don't even have a long shelf life, and for their lack of productivity, you think that it maybe at least last a while, and all the traditional things that we did to keep this world beautiful, that a true conservationist did to keep this world beautiful, are just out the window with these liberals.
Right. Well, that was my point, is that Trump is preserving, the environment and keeping the water clean and so forth.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have seen it. In New Jersey, we had beach whales coming up on shore. We had Chris Christie, Jamie Pritzker just flying up over the shore.
But Elena and I's governor, Ron DeSantis, I mean, when we had the huge red tide issue happening, he as a Republican running for governor, he went in there and took care of the red tide issue with Senator Rick Scott, because people come to the beach and they want to go into the water, and the water was disgusting. We're dealing with environmental issues in Maryland with Back River, to the point where you can't fish there, you can't swim there. It's disgusting, the chemicals that are in the water. And what happened in East Palestine, Ohio, is not 100% fixed with the oil spill. So, you have, like what everyone's saying here, you have these damn liberals that are all, about the environment, but they're the ones that are causing the most pollution in their areas. It's disgusting.
Fake. It's fake. Just like their compassion is fake. Just like their men who think their women are fake. It's all fake. That's
It's the same junk science.
It's all junk science, and it's all and it's junk science used to trick people, so other people can make money. They're making money cutting kids' genitals off. They're making money on windmills, and all the politicians that sign these bills to let all these things be built, they're all getting kickbacks, whether in campaign contributions or actual just straight to their pockets. We'll find out. But this windmill thing needs to be it needs to be cut off at the knees.
I agree.
It's destroying the country.
I agree. Damon, Sharon, let's put up the second image of the segment. So this is very important. So again, talking about woke culture, the museums throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially the last remaining segment of woke. The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discusses how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future. We are not going to allow this to happen. I've instructed my attorneys to go through the museums and start the exact same process that has been done with colleges and universities, where tremendous progress has been made. This country cannot be woke, because woke is broke. We have the hottest country in the world, and we want people to talk about it, including in our museums. As I mentioned earlier, I happened to go to the Museum of the Bible. It is one of the most unwoke museums that I've been to. It focused strictly on Judeo-Christian values, talked about the history of the Garden of Eden and Abraham and Moses and so forth. And I brought friends from other places there, and they loved the Museum of the Bible. They said, we don't feel like we even got enough of it. We got to come back. There are so many beautiful museums in DC, and to throw the wokeness in there, especially to the Smithsonian, is disgusting. I actually happened to be in Hershey Park, Pennsylvania as well, and I took a screenshot of it. They had to throw in that there was these insurrectionists that invaded the Capitol on January 6th. They didn't even acknowledge that President Trump is the president. They had a picture of Barack Obama. They had a picture of George W. Bush. They had a picture of George H.W. Bush. They had a picture of Joe Biden. There was no picture acknowledging that President Trump is the president. All they did was focus on the insurrection that happened on January 6th, which we all know. So, Damon Galdo, I pivot to you. What do you think about these museums? Because people come to DC for these museums. There's museums in Philadelphia. There's museums where you live in New Jersey as well. What do you think about this?
Well, I think we need to get rid of the wokeness, and I like that Trump is doing it. Trump is somebody that he loves art. He really does. I know. I can imagine what his presidential library is going to look like, because he wants statues. He's trying to get a park full of statues. I don't know where he's going to put it, in New Jersey or wherever, but there's a lot of things that he wants to do, and it takes me back to, I don't know if you guys ever seen it. In 1963, Congress it was a whole congressional hearing about the Communist Manifesto on how to destroy America from within. And there's like 43 things, and a lot of them are happening now. But I'll just tell you, one of them was, and I never even thought about it like this. One of them was to have ugly art. It really was. It was like to have odd shaped structures and get rid of artwork, and to make people. I guess it dulls their mind because they.
The Hunter Biden
Yeah,
Museum.
there you go. There you go. Yeah. Blowing paint and snorting coke at the same time.
Obama's library. It is a monstrosity.
Yeah, I mean, but
Seth, didn't you call it the Death
is that
Star
what the
today?
Death Star?
It looks like it. That thing's
But
operational.
no, I mean, but that was the actual thing in there. Like it was to eliminate beautiful artwork and have these like monstrosities of like just these shapes and forms that don't look good. I forget exactly what it said. I was going to look it up, but you went to me first. But you look it up. 1963, the Communist Manifesto.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it has like 43 things, and you can see at least 40 of them are happening today. It's kind of scary. But yes, I'm glad that Trump is taking it over. I'm glad that Trump's doing everything he's doing. I'm glad Trump's saying F you to everybody because people are tired. They want common sense back. We want our country back. We want to be an American. To be an American meant something before. It really did. And everyone had that patriotism. And the left and the Democrats just can't, and the media that boost them up. I just can't stand them anymore. It's like, no, get the freak out of my country, okay? If you don't want to be an American, you don't want to love your state, you don't want to love your country, you don't want to love your fellow patriots, then you need to go. I don't care. Get rid of the illegals, get rid of the people that hate this country, and let's stop importing people that hate this country. So,
well, yeah, No, I'm sorry. No, you're right. I didn't want to cut you off, but we have very short time in this.
I know.
So, Seth Eisenberg, I just wanted to pivot to you. So, these museums, are very important, especially because we're talking about education. We talked about a lot of education on this show tonight. And if they put in all this woke culture into the museums, even God forbid, they throw biased political crap in the Holocaust Museum. This is real history. And kids need to know. And I have encouraged young people, I've encouraged schools to go and visit the Holocaust Museum, the Smithsonian, different museums. But if they don't get rid of the wokeness of the museum, again, the kids are going to learn, they're going to learn crap. They're not going to learn properly. And they're going to learn political bias and political spin. What say you?
Well, slavery happened. We can't ignore it. So if it's in a museum, it should be in a museum. It's a fact. It occurred in this country. It was not our most shining moment in our history, but we can't forget it. Just like in Europe, they don't tear down concentration camps because they're embarrassed of what happened. They keep them up.
Right.
They let people walk through them. I've been to one of them. You can walk through them. They tell you all about it. Same thing here. We had slavery. You know what? There's no country that doesn't have a blemish on its history. There's not one. Shouldn't be ashamed of it. We should embrace it. That's who we were. We've moved on from there. So you keep it up. Because if you don't remember it, you're going to do it again. That's the whole problem with erasing history. When they're taking down all these statues of the Civil War generals and all that, you erase it, people forget about it, and you repeat it. Keep it up. The wokeness, keep the political bullshit out of it. Slavery is bad enough. You don't have to embellish it. You don't have to add to it. You don't have to we did all. Just put it up. Leave the facts. It's all you need to do. Like the Holocaust Museum, just leave the facts. Those are enough. You don't have to add to that. It's horrible. Don't need to make anything more of it than it already was. Mm-hmm. And if they can do that, there's no problem. And I agree, it shouldn't be all negative. There should be balance. Have balance. Slavery and how we got out of slavery. We did this, civil rights movement. Balance it out. So everybody can see, we did some stupid shit, but hey, we corrected ourselves. We made it better. You got to have balance. Because if anybody believes the country they live in, no matter what country, is 100% right all the time since it was founded, and they're perfect and they're great and they've never made a mistake, they're fucking idiots. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake as long as you correct it. And we corrected it. We stepped back and fixed it. So there's nothing wrong with remembering what it used to be like, because that makes whatever happens in the future much better, because we can look back and say, look, we did back then, but look where we are now. So you need to have
that's the more perfect.
You got to have balance.
Elena, 30 seconds to answer this, because you have a child and I know you like to come to DC. Are you would you take a step back and not go to these museums because of all the wokeness that's in them now?
Oh, absolutely. I want nothing to do with it. I don't need to be just steeped in woke indoctrination and feel frustrated and sick to my stomach when I know I was taught and I learned about American history during a time when we were taught about the bad and the good. And at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is that America is the first country who really, and it was white people who freed slaves, we ended slavery, who laid the foundation to end slavery with the United States Constitution, because it ultimately really had to end if we were going to honor the Constitution. And it's a beautiful thing what happened in this country, in spite of the darkness. And these people that focus on the victimhood and the sadness and the darkness constantly, as I see with so many of the things that come out of the left, it is purely demonic. Mm-hmm. And everything that God created and everything we know about God is to tell us to look up and see the good, and they just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Scott, you have literally 30 seconds. Response.
Yeah, I thought about this on vacation in Cape Cod this past week. I was there with my folks with Deplorabella and my son and my brother. And we were at the Salem Witch Museum. And we saw a placard there that made Mom and I kind of concerned about what the Smithsonian was spewing. And it was talking about witch hunts and where the term came from. But for subsequent examples in history, it was using cyberbullying, and then it was talking about the war on terror or global terrorism. So I asked the docent there, I said, are you talking about global terrorism being a witch hunt, and that it's not real? And he said, well, I'm not saying it's not real. We're not saying it's not real, but it's probably taken to an extreme, and innocent people are hurt in that. And I said, and I had my Iraq war hat on when I was there, and I made sure he saw that and my Star of David. And I said, wouldn't a much better example of a witch hunt on a grand scale be the genocide of the Holocaust? And he said maybe, and I was like, you guys are ridiculous. And we left the museum, but we thought, like, if this stuff's going on in the Smithsonian, not only that, but you've got safety issues too. The whole thing, I mean, it's such a multifactorial issue to clean that up, from the safety of the area to the content, to the messaging, to what you want it to impart and instill on the next generation through our children and grandchildren. Thank God.
Exactly. We will be right back after the break. Segment 4 coming up.
Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country, America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Alexandra Levine, the host of The Pulse. We are now going to segment 4. I'm going to have Seth Eisenberg lead with this. So Seth is going to talk about the BS going on in Texas and the libs getting paid with tax dollars, but not wanting to work. Take it away, Seth Eisenberg.
Oh, I was on the wrong side of it. There I am.
There you are. Let's put him up. Damon Share. Let's put Seth up. Big.
No, they were all whining and crying about gerrymandering. Like I said last Wednesday, like it's never happened before. This is all new to them. The Republicans are trying to gerrymander. So rather than be the adults that they're supposed to be and do the job they're getting paid for, all the libs left Texas and went to Chicago, I think, somewhere up north.
Chicago.
So they thinking that now they can't vote because we're not there. That's pretty much tantamount to saying, I hate you guys. I'm taking my toys and leaving the sandbox. It's still going to happen. But the point is, you're paid to represent the people in your district, and you're not doing it. So you shouldn't be getting paid. The minute you left when that was in session and you left the state, you should have been. You're punched out now. You're not getting paid. Done. You're not. But that doesn't happen to politicians. No matter what they do, they get paid. And none of the taxpayers, we the taxpayers, don't bitch about it. If I walk out of my job tomorrow because they're going to pass a policy I don't like, and I say, well, I'm leaving until you change the policy, I'm not getting paid till I come back. The second I walk out that door, I'm not getting paid anymore. So why are they any different? Why do people treat politicians like God? They don't. In most countries, politicians are looked down on. Mm-hmm. You're a servant. They don't get special treatment, and they shouldn't. Number one, they volunteer for the position, and they get paid damn good money to do what in Congress they work like 5 months out of the year. They get like 97,000 holidays, and they only have to work a day or an hour during the summer, and they still get paid. That shit's got to stop. And if Texas doesn't show people, hey, look, we're overpaying these people, and I'm talking both sides of the aisle. I have always said it. I will continue to say, if you're in politics, your pay should be the mean salary of the state you represent, and that is it. So if your salary, the average salary of the citizen in your state is $75,000 a year, guess what you're making? $75,000 a year. You don't get free health care. You don't get to keep it when you quit. You get $75,000. And then you take out your health care and all the other expenses. You live like the people you represent. If you want your pay to get better, better your state. Get more money coming into your state, because then your pay will go up. You're not going to get these people can vote their own goddamn raises. They can just go, you know what, guys?
Sure.
I don't think $175,000 a year is enough. We bust our ass.
We did that in
I think we
Baltimore
need
County.
$250,000 a year. What do y'all say? Who's going to vote no? I'm not going to vote no against my own pay raise.
Yeah, they did that in Baltimore County.
Exactly.
They have the Baltimore County executive now. He makes $184,000 a year. The Baltimore County councilman, they make about $125,000 a year now. They voted for those raises, and they don't do anything.
No.
I mean, we have one county councilman. He's been in alcoholic rehab on and off for a couple of years,
paid for that.
but he's still getting paid.
And we paid for that. You go to DC. There are people who are in Congress and Senate who have never been on the floor, who have never voted on a bill, and they get paid.
Yep.
It's got to stop. And if Texas doesn't show people that how meaningless these people really are, how insignificant their jobs are, we get what we deserve then. There's nobody in Congress who should be making over $100,000 a year. None of them. Not one of them. Because they don't have to come to work. And they just proved it. They just gave everybody the finger in Texas that pays taxes and said, hey, I'm not coming to work, but guess what, you sons of bitches? You're going to pay me every 2 weeks, and you're going to cover my health care. Have a good day. We're going to Chicago on vacation, and you're paying for it.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, Damon Galdo.
The state reps do not make the same money as what DC politicians.
None
State
of
reps,
them should make it.
Well, no, yeah, state reps make a lot less. They make 50
they make peanuts. Just and they don't deserve the peanuts either. But I just don't want to misrepresent like they're getting rich, because they're not.
Yeah, but they also get perks. They get per diems. They get a lot of shit that nobody knows. They make damn good money for the little work they do.
Right. But it's interesting how like a state delegate, will only make can only make $50,000 a year, but a county executive or a county commissioner, which is on a local level, they make a lot more.
Yeah.
So that's what I find interesting. But the difference is one is a full-time job. The county executive, the county councilman are full-time jobs, as opposed to the state delegates are part-time. But still, the state legislators are the ones that are making the laws. They're passing the laws. They're making the laws. In my opinion, they should get paid more. But Damon Galdo, I put it to you. The Governor Abbott and Ken Paxton said that they would arrest some of these lawmakers that went to other states and tried to, gerrymander, the state of Illinois, or tried to gerrymander the state of California. But have we seen any arrests? When are the arrests do you think can be made?
No, have they made it back to Texas?
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
They did? Okay, well, then they still didn't go in to vote on this? Yeah, because
no, they did. Yeah, that was breaking news today.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Texas House GOP, they passed. So the Democrats left. They did illegal stuff by trying to gerrymander and redistrict
I know that.
Illinois and California. They came back to Texas knowing that the Texas GOP was going to pass it, regardless if they left or not. But I remember Governor Greg Abbott said he was going to arrest a lot of those lawmakers that went over there, because what they did, in a sense, was committing treason.
Well, it wasn't going to arrest them. You can't put them in jail for it. But to do their job, if they step foot in the state of Texas again and they didn't show up, they will be detained and brought to to the courthouse, wherever it is in Texas, where they have to go and vote for this for gerrymandering.
It's the Texas State House.
Texas State House, yeah. So they would have to go there, and that's where he was going to bring them. And I guess they showed up for it. I didn't follow that part. I've been following the whole thing except up to that point. But I would love for him to arrest them, but he can't put them in jail for not doing their job. It's not illegal to. Well,
no, what he can put them in jail for is going to other states and trying to redistrict and re-gerrymander other states, because you're a state. Hold on, when you're a state representative of Texas, you can't go over to another state and work with their legislators and sign off. That's illegal. And that's what they were doing. They were going to Illinois, they were going to California, they were working with the Democrat state legislators and trying to sign off that that they could have the power to redistrict and regerrymander. That was where the law was broken.
I don't know about that though. I know they can't. They're elected officials in the state of Texas. They can't go to another state and pass laws in there to.
But that's what they were doing. That's what they were doing behind the scenes. It was all reported.
Well, it doesn't really matter.
That's why Governor Abbott and Ken Paxton called for their arrest, because that's what they were doing. Well, they were not focused on the issues in their state. They were going to other states. He
called for their arrest to bring them to do their job, and it wasn't an arrest. It was detain them and bring them to the house so they could vote. So, and he cut off their pay because they were getting direct deposit. So he said, that's it. If you want to collect your paycheck, you have to come and get it in person. And that's why he did that, because if they had to show up in the state that they.
Yeah, but he claimed that they were going to get arrested. He didn't arrest them. It's a problem. Because again, they're getting away with them.
You can't really arrest them and throw them.
They're all going to get their back.
It wasn't a crime. There wasn't a crime.
Yeah, it wasn't. They just weren't doing their job.
They just abandoned their post. And they could have been. Apparently, he could have replaced them. There were fines that could have been implemented. It seems like nothing happened.
Nope.
And there was zero consequences for what they did.
That was my point. There was no accountability, and there should have been, and we're still waiting for the accountability. That's my point.
You're not getting accountability. Stop waiting.
Well, there should be accountability. There definitely should be.
Seth, when you were in the Navy, what happened as a tax-paid employee? What would happen if you didn't show up for work in the Navy?
Yeah,
but it shouldn't be. Like, why is there no accountability there? I wanted to weigh in on this.
You're right.
Libs. Well, here we go. Donald Willinger. We had 4 people in one county got arrested for tampering with votes. That's what they do.
Right. Libs not wanting to work. Is this something new? They got paid far too much during COVID to telework and stay home as essential employees. So they're used to this. Their heads are in the sand. With these Texas folks. Heads are in the sand about it. They're just like the short attention span theater for everything else, war, debate, research, relationships. They have no patience or staying power for anything. The only thing I can say that's good about their jobs being part-time in their respective state assembly is that there's less damage that they can do. Stay home. Let's override the quorums. What they're doing in Texas is ungerrymandering. Not gerrymandering. Like I said, I was in Massachusetts, a state where gerrymandering was founded, a state that voted 47% for Trump. And guess how many of their 9 representatives are Republican? None. Just like we have 1 in Maryland out of 8. So,
well, as you know, in the state of Maryland, they're trying to gerrymander him out. As you know, they want to re-gerrymander Andy Harris out. That's what Governor Westmore wants to do.
Well, all in all, it's a show. That's basically what it is. Because gerrymandering happens everywhere. They went to the worst gerrymandered state ever, Illinois, where you see that little snake in the middle of the whole thing. I mean, Democrats have been doing this for a long time. They've done it here in New Jersey too. I just waited in my district. They cut out Mullica Hill. Say Mullica Hill is heavily Republican, but they cut it out. And for Norcross, and that's why he's been congressman for a long time. So it happens everywhere, and the fact that the media jump on it and the left jump on it and say, "Oh, they're getting rid of democracy." No, shut the f up. No, they're not. You guys have been doing it for a long time. You're just trying to.
They're not getting rid of democracy. We're doubling down on the republic, which has an electoral college that has the districts are supposed to be set up a certain way to have some kind of cohesive representation of the people that live in that area. Geopolitically, it's supposed to make sense, and geographically, and it doesn't. But what we're doing is saying this is the republic part. We're doubling down. This is why the electoral college was necessary, and they complain about that too. It's never going to change. It will require constitutional convention with 75% of the states voting to undo the electoral college. Will never happen. It's their way of fetching about. Whenever there's a Republican that wins the electoral college and not the popular vote. But if it wasn't so gerrymandered the way that it is, probably would be a little bit different.
Yeah, and Scott, you're right too, because I love the fact that Newsom's out there saying, "Well, we're going to redistrict everything in California." Well, have at it, buddy. You already did. You can't do any more.
He's a mouse.
You already
I don't think. Well, they said he may not even be able to do what he's saying he's going to do.
It's like that's why I can't stand I can't stand it. But okay,
Really?
talk all you want. You can't do any more damage to California. So
Well, I want to open this.
Yes, he can. Just watch. He's got some more time.
well, he's gonna light a match and burn more of it up. So whatever, I guess.
Well, I want to open the discussion to this. So, as we know, President Trump, he talked about signing an executive order for no mail-in ballots. This is something that he is working towards. But as you know, under Article 4, Section 1 of the Constitution, yes, the president can sign the executive order, but it doesn't fully go into law. Congress, as we know, federal overrides state always. The Congress has to codify his executive order. The question is, will Congress codify the executive order? Will we get rid of mail-in ballots? As you know, we have mail-in ballots in Maryland. We have mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. We have mail-in ballots even in Florida. We have mail-in ballots everywhere. And it's disgusting. It's horrific. And of course, different states do different laws with their mail-in ballots. As you know, in the state of Maryland, once you get a mail-in ballot, you always get a mail-in ballot. In the state of Florida, you can request for a mail-in ballot, but you don't always
send them in Maryland without asking.
I'm sorry?
They send them to you in Maryland
Yeah,
without asking.
without asking.
Yeah.
So, I love the fight that President Trump wants to do to get rid of the mail-in ballots and get rid of the machines before the 2026 midterm elections. I love that. That is something he campaigned on. But the question is, I open it up to my panel. I'm going to open up to Scott first.
That's the greatest threat to democracy right there is the mail-in ballots. And for people that don't understand the difference between absentee ballots or legitimate reasons, but they find every way to bust people in. So bust them in and make them show up on election day, not week, not whatever. Bust them in, vote. You're there in person. You have your freaking ID. And that's the way it is.
Well,
even Jimmy Carter talked about this decades ago. It's the greatest. It is. We complain about what's his name, about Zelensky not having. First of all, they don't have our constitution; they have their own, and we'd say don't impose American democracy on the rest of the world. So they have their constitution that says that they can't have elections during wartime. We have never had wartime on our soil where we've had completely unfettered presidential election, and we can't even get our elections straight during peacetime. So what makes us think we should tell Zelensky that he should be having an election right now? But this is the greatest threat. And any of these, to your point, to your question, any of the Congress, since we have the majority right now, who doesn't vote to get rid of the mail-in ballots, needs to be ridden out on a rail. Those are the truest rhinos. Those are the ones that need to be made the biggest example of and primary the F out by Trump and whoever else is going to put up for that. And biggest. You want to talk about a witch hunt? Call them out, because they're the one. This is the biggest threat, because this is how the Democrats have tried to get the back door to undo any future election and completely consolidate and monopolize power for the next several decades.
Again, 30 seconds for each person. Elena, pivot to you. So like I said before, in Florida, the mail-in ballots are not mandated. Once you get a mail-in ballot, you don't always get a mail-in ballot. You can request it if you want to. But as you know, in Florida, the majority of the people don't have mail-in or don't get mail-in ballots or don't even request them. What I have asked for my governor is to get rid of the machines, because I know that the counties where he keeps the machines, even my county, Sarasota County, has significant issues with elections even on election day.
Yeah, here in Brevard County, where I am, they actually have a pretty good system, and it's pretty efficient, but it is not foolproof. The problem with the mail-in ballots, in addition to everything else, is that it is extremely expensive. We are spending probably hundreds of millions of dollars across this country, in order, and there is so many ways that things can go wrong and make things insecure. So we're just burning money to make Democrats feel good, when as soon as a Democrat, loses, they say that our elections aren't secure. So if they say, whenever it's convenient for them. So they should agree that we should do everything we can to pare it down and make it simple. But
I'm going to pivot to Damon Galdo, because as you know, we have some big races coming up. New Jersey Assembly, we have the gubernatorial race. I'm sure that, Jack is concerned about the mail-in ballots, because I saw the re-election campaign of Patrick Murphy, I know he lost. I know Jack beat him. I saw the flip in Bergen County. I saw that Bergen County actually went to Jack, which is a liberal county, and flipped at the last second, at the last moment, because of the goddamn mail-in ballots. So what is Jack doing right now in 2020? No, this was not in 2020. This is in 2022. So whatchamacallit? So Damon, what is Jack Schifferelli doing to make sure that his election is free and fair?
Well, right now, I'll tell you, I'll do this in 15 seconds. Jack is trying to push mail-in voting right now because that's why Republicans lose a lot. Democrats were outnumbered by like 25% mail-in ballots. And but right now, Trump wants to end it, but he's only going to try to end it by 2026, by the midterms. And do I think that Trump will get that done? Yes, because we have the House, we have the Senate, and I think that he will be able to push it through. Because again, if you want to get something done and you have a strong leader, they will get it done. And I think Trump will get it done, get rid of mail-in ballots by 2026. Jack Schifferelli, on the other hand, right now has to deal what he has to deal with right now and push the mail-in ballots as best he can so we can get more Republicans out to vote. Because we only get about 30% of registered Republicans to come out to vote in gubernatorial elections, which is crazy, by the way.
Yeah. And Seth Eisenberg, you'll end this. You know, I know that you're very realistic about this, and we're dealing with hardcore elections coming up in November. We're dealing with another gubernatorial race, attorney general, comptroller, municipality races. You know, we're dealing with our good friend Tim Fazenbaker. We want to make sure that his election is free and fair. And also, Seth and I have a very mutual friend named William Newton, who literally wrote the book on election integrity. And he said it's not just the mail-in ballots. It is a term that he's coined called corrupt internal election personnel. What does that mean? That is the people that are actually counting the ballots. That is your USPS Postal Service. Those are the corrupt mofos and the election judges that are corrupt, that do everything they can to put rhinos in there, Democrats in there, and to hurt conservatives. What say you, Seth?
Wasn't it Stalin that said it doesn't matter who votes, it matters who counts them?
Correct. Yep.
Do I think mail-in ballots will go away? Yes. Do I think it'll happen anytime soon? No. I don't think it's going to happen for the next couple of election cycles because there's not enough Republicans in D.C. now that have the balls to stand up and go, yep, let's do that. Mm-hmm. They don't want to do it. They want to get, like I said, they want to get along. They want to get invited to the parties. They want everybody to like them. They want their 85-pound heads in front of every camera they can find. They're not going to make waves. And whenever someone tells me, well, we need mail-in ballots, I always go, hey, look, not so long ago, it was a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper, and that worked for 70, 80 years. Not an issue. Everybody got to vote. So what changed? Why all of a sudden now can nobody get to the polls? Why all of a sudden now does nobody have an ID to show? What happened? Did we get stupider as a nation? Or are we just getting lazier as a nation? I think we're just getting lazier. We don't need paper. You don't need a mail-in ballot. Go. Like Scott was saying, if you're in the military, you're handicapped, then you get an absentee ballot.
Correct.
Big difference.
And you're right. Paper ballots all the way, as we saw in France and in Europe. They do paper ballots, and we find out who the winner is that night.
Yep.
Damn and mail-in ballots, like we saw in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and and Maryland, and Arizona, and on, where people are voting, or we're finding out who the winners are days and weeks, and that's where the fraud comes in. And President Trump knows this, where the fraud comes in. So that's why he won based on being too big to rig, pushing people to early voting. But at the end of the day, he wants election day on one day, no ballot, no mail-in ballots, paper ballots all the way. Let's just count it all up, and that's it. But again, it is the corrupt internal election personnel. Yes. That's why we heavily have to vet the type of people that are going to be counting the ballots. We have to
clean up the voter rolls.
I'm sorry?
Clean up the voter rolls. There are people who've been dead for 60 years that are casting votes every election time. They got to clean them up, or it doesn't matter. It starts there, and then goes to the people running the election, and then paper ballots. But you can change it, get away from the mail-in ballots. If you don't change anything else, it doesn't change anything.
Correct.
You're still going to be able to cheat.
And listen, I know we have to go, but I just want to point out Arlene said pass the SAVE Act. Arlene is on the voter integrity board in Jersey, so maybe you guys can talk to her. We get some information from her. She's very versed in that. So, but that's it.
I just want to remind people of some campaigns going on. Don't forget Seth Eisenberg's GoFundMe. Go to Jonah Eisenberg /health/crisis. As you know, he was in the hospital for almost a month. He almost lost his foot, but the man still has bills to pay.
2 months.
So 2 months, excuse me. So instead of giving money to illegals and murderers and free Palestine mofos, Please give money to Seth Eisenberg. He's already raised $6,500. The goal is 10K. The final goal is 100K. Let's get this man on his feet, literally. If you don't give him money, he will show you a picture of his foot. Not what it looks like now, but it looked like when he was in the hospital.
When it was juicy.
I will pay money for that picture again.
Like, honestly, just putting a picture of that foot up, people should be giving him thousands of dollars.
You
Because
should put it up right now if you have, or,
oh no, please!
I got it.
Yeah, Damon shared he can't put it up now. But,
Oh no, I got it. Don't worry.
okay.
It's too late. I won't have nightmares.
We'll put it
Keep
up. But
talking.
anyway, but yeah, please. Now I'm blank. I'm tongue tied. Please, guys, go to Seth's campaign. It's very important. Also, when Damon Galdo decides to run for Congress, we'll be putting up his campaign so everybody can donate to him. And Elena Barbara, how can we follow you?
you can find me at The Based Mother on all the usual social places where I have, daily shorts and a weekly podcast.
Awesome. And Scott, how can we find you? Oh, did you mute yourself again?
You can find me at I'm there. Lieutenant Colonel Scott Willens Against Anti-Semitism on Facebook. You can find my Animal Hospital Neighborhood Veterinary Associates and Weird Science Band Maryland.
We can't see the foot. Wait, you got to put. Oh my God! Wait, it can't see it.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh my God!
And that's a hole.
$5,000.
A roll of quarters could have fit through that hole in that.
Oh,
told me that
my
several
God.
times. He thought it was funny.
And of course,
I could put my thumb in there. We could touch thumbs like this in your foot.
The worst thing I did was show my children, and they
You showed your children? Oh my God!
Yeah, they wanted to see it. I'm like, sure.
My son's only seen the picture.
I do surgery and I'm skeeved.
I will tell you this right now. I've been in pain before in my life. Like, I've been kicked in the balls, had car accidents, played football. That by far is the worst pain I have ever experienced in my life. And I was doped up on morphine and Percocets. And it still felt like someone was taking an ice pick inside that cut and jamming it down into my skin. It was the worst pain in the world.
Like a vault. Well, please, guys, please donate to SAD. Stop donating to illegals, criminals, and free Palestine people. And of course, don't forget our good friend Tim Fazenmaker. He's running for Baltimore County Council District 9, the most MAGA America First district. He is the picked person to win this district. Nobody can beat him. Please go to timfazenbaker.com. That's TIMFAZENBAKER.com and make a donation today. And of course, my good friend, Constance Ditzel, she's running for New Jersey Assembly. Please go to her website. It's Dizzyland, DITZELAND Gonzalez for LD5.com. That's Dizzyland Gonzalez for LD5.com. And of course, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe us. We're on 5 different platforms now at America's Pulse Network on X, on YouTube, on Rumble, on Parler, on TikTok. We're doing very well. And of course, guys, don't forget to follow us on our shows. We have the Jersey Shore every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. We also have him on Friday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Don't forget our good friend Seth Eisenberg on the Conservative Quarter every Sunday night from 7 to 8:30 p.m. That's where you all should be. Don't forget my show every Tuesday and Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. And again, guys, the Pulse of America, we are on here every Wednesday night. You never know who our special guests are going to be. We thank our special guests. We thank the people that made comments, Donald Willinger, Arlene, Drunken Monkey, everybody that was on here tonight. We love you guys. Thank you guys for coming. And again, the Pulse of America, we believe in God, country, and America first. Good night, guys.
All right, good night.
Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country, America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.